Hi y'all, welcome back to another episode of Melman's Mechanical Macabre, and it is the episode that many of you have been waiting for. It's time to install Killshot. I have got everything off of the Blazer, and I've got it all with me. ECU, throttle body, coolant temp sensor, gaskets, the wiring harness, all of the above. So, we're going to start with the simple, easy to do, which is just installing the throttle body itself. Now, with this setup I have, I'm going to have to figure out throttle cable, because with this car being original Z-bar, which is not great, I'm gonna have to figure out a throttle cable or just something of the sort, I believe, unless I can make this Z-bar work, but it doesn't look like it's going to. But anyway, first of all, I'm gonna get these stickers off, and then gasket, and then we're gonna get this thing on. And yes, she's a little dirty from being on the Blazer, but that's okay. Give her a little shine, and by shine I mean I'm just gonna wipe it off. But this is gonna be pretty in-depth. I'm gonna show you pretty much everything I'm doing when it comes to Killshot, connecting everything, wiring, all of the above. And then I think we're just going to do the wiring aspect of it right now in this video. And then when it comes to fuel, connecting everything for fuel, that's going to be a different video, because I have to make a return line, so that'll take a little time. So for right now, we're just going to get everything where it should be, where I want it to be, and then fuel system will be next video. Either next video or the video after, but I will show you what I am using for fuel and what my plan is, essentially. But anyway, let's hop right to it. Alright, so I've got my studs here that come with the Killshot. We're going to get these stickers off of here because, we don't want any reason for this to have a vacuum leak. And I wonder, give me just a second. Alright, had to go find a razor blade. There we go. Try to get some of this off here. But I have all the faith in the world on this Killshot. It ran on the Blazer for freaking ever with zero issues. And if you watched my review, obviously it only had one issue, but I caused that issue. So I had zero issues of anything that I didn't cause. So that's the good thing. But I got my bag of studs here, and I'm missing a cameraman today, so it's just me. But that's okay. So on your studs, you're going to have two different size threads, essentially. And of course, your short side's going to go into your intake. Just going to screw those down until they stop. I'm so very excited. We're getting really close to being able to hear this thing run. Note to self, don't drop anything in your intake. You're gonna have a bad day. Alright, get these studs on. Next is your gasket, and it does have a certain way to go on, and of course it's going to be your outside holes right there. And then you put the piece de resistance on. There we go. I think it looks great. It's gonna look fantastic. Now, would the polished look even better than this? Probably, but trying to get the polished one from Aces is a little bit of a pain. You'll have to catch them when they're actually in stock, because they do get out of stock very quickly. I believe they stock more of the black ones than anything. But you've got gold, silver, black, and I think for Breast Cancer Awareness Month they sell the pink ones. And I'm gonna be straight honest, I would totally buy the pink one. If I ever decide to upgrade and get the Killshot 2, I might see if they sell a pink Killshot 2. Will it match? Absolutely not, but you know, breast cancer awareness, I'll happily support that. All right, let's get a 1/2 inch, which I already have handy, and get these tightened. Obviously don't go overboard on your tightening on these. You don't want to strip anything. Now, obviously, with studs, it's a lot harder to strip, and you can get them tighter than you would with just normal bolts. But you still don't want to go too overboard with it. You just gotta have a mobile torque wrench in your arm, basically. That's how I think of it. My arm is just a mobile torque wrench, and I just kind of get them all roughly the same. That one's tight. That one's about the same. Okay, so easy part, that's done. The more difficult part, or choice I should say, is your ECU. Where do you want to mount it? Now, they make it separate for a reason. They obviously, now they also do have the Killshot, I forget what it's called, it's new though, where the ECU is in the throttle body, but they also fixed the problem, or so they say. I mean, hey, who knows? But they say they have fixed the problem when it comes to vibrations and heat destroying their ECU, like on, you know, the other brand. I didn't do it, I swear. Why is that hard to open all of a sudden? It's really hot in here. Get some air movement. Good God. Okay, so I haven't really decided where I want to put this yet. But when I do, which I'll probably decide here in just a minute, then we will go from that point and try to get everything, come on door, stay open and not hit the other truck. So I'm thinking this is a non-AC car, you know, it doesn't have anything basically other than a heater. I'm thinking of putting it right in there somewhere, if I have a way to get through the firewall, because I'm not cutting holes in any firewalls. So it's either I need to find a place that already has a hole through the firewall, or it's going in the engine bay. And as of right now, I think it's going in the engine bay. And I'm also gonna it's gonna look terrible, but I'm probably gonna take precautionary measures and put some heat reflective stuff on this just to be very safe about it. But let me get the wiring all set up and I'll go through it with you. Alright, so I've pretty much decided I'm going to put it in the engine bay just because there's no grommet to go through the firewall. And I really don't want to drill a hole for it because of how many, or I guess how big of a clump of wires has to go through words. So it's going to go right in here somewhere, kind of, you know, far away from any of the actual heat. Yes, it's going to get a little warm, however, I think it will be totally fine, and I'm not too utterly worried about it, but I think we're going to do something like that. So now that I have that, number two, actually, let's go ahead and find a place that we can put this, which would be right there. This is going to be your coolant temp. Yeah, and we'll get that tightened up here in a few. Oh, if I can find the right size. Darn. But anyway, let's move on to going through this wiring harness. I know it looks like a jumbled hunk of butt cheeks, but this is probably the most important thing that you're going to need. Obviously, all of it is important if you want it to run. However, this is what's going to make it run correctly. O2 sensor. Yes, I am going to clean it, but it works. And this is the one that comes with your Killshot. And also, if you haven't seen, wheels are mounted. I just have to finish 5-lug swapping it. And I think it looks freaking awesome. But O2, this is a Bosch O2 sensor, so you can actually buy these from O'Reilly's, and it will have the same exact plug. So they are very smart about that. And if you're wondering what the plug looks like, if you wanted to get another one, this is your plug. And it is a Bosch O2 sensor. I forget the actual part number, but I could have swore the part number was on here somewhere. I don't remember. However, I still have to make a hole for this, so we will tackle that later. But let's tackle all of this crap. And let me get you set up. Okay. Wait. A little more. There we go. Alright, so I know it looks like a lot, but a lot of this you're not even going to use. And everything is labeled. So CTS, coolant temp sensor, that's going to go right into the coolant temp sensor. FPS is your fuel pressure sensor. This you will not be using unless you got the pressure sensor kit along with your Killshot. So if you didn't, you know, this is going to be, you're not even going to use it. WBO1, this is your wideband O2. You can have 2 of these, I believe. Yeah, I forget which one it is, but in certain ones they actually send you with 2 O2 sensors. This one you just get one, and I don't think you can add a second one. I could be wrong. So anyway, WBO1 coolant temp and FPS fuel pressure. And the only wires that are in this big honkin', get it out here. Okay, I got it all sorted out. So you're gonna have your main relays already done. You have to do nothing to these, and your fuses. Another main relay. All of these, they all have little holes in them. You can literally just screw them to the firewall or whatever you want to put them to, but you don't even have to do anything with these. They all already have the fuses and everything in them. In front of those, you're going to have a black, red, and an orange wire. Obviously, black is your battery ground, red is your battery 12 volts, and they go directly to the battery. You don't want to put them anywhere else other than directly to the battery. The installation thing says do not do that, because you could short out, or you could not be providing a full 12 volts if you have it connected to something else, and it could fry your ECU. So don't do that. I had it directly to the battery on the Blazer, and I never had a problem. So heavy or big black, big red, 12 volts, ground, directly to your battery. Your orange is your fuel pump positive. So your negative, you just put it to the frame or whatever you want to put it to for a negative, but the positive goes to the positive side, and your Killshot will do your fuel pump for you. And you can change all that, and I'll show you how to do that. And then you'll have one more, which is a little bitty red one, and this is your ignition 12 volt. So little bitty, it says ignition key, IGN key. This just goes to key on power, key on 12 volts. Obviously do not put it to constant 12 volts, because then you're just going to kill batteries. So that's the only four that I have. I've got them all taped together from the Blazer, and that's all that goes in that one. Now, so the rest of them are as follows. Purple is your nitrous in. If you are running nitrous, you can do that. Blue is rev, and I think that's a rev limiter. I'm not entirely sure about that one. Green is fan 1, so you can run your fans through your Killshot, and you can set at what temperatures they turn on and off, which is what I will be doing, so I will be using green. AC in, so air conditioning, I think, if you have it. Fan 2 is yellow. White is point, so if you're using a points distributor. And then I believe that is it. Brown, yeah, brown is your tack out. So if you're not going to be using the handheld that they give you, and you're using a tachometer, you will be connecting the brown wire to your tachometer. Or if you're using the stock car tachometer, then you can connect this to that, and it will work. But as of right now, the only things I'm pretty sure I'm going to be using is the fans, because I'm going to just go ahead and incorporate those into the Killshot itself. That way I don't have to flip a switch anymore, and it just does it on its own. So with that being said, the only other thing is, if you do wind up with the blackjack distributor, the VR is what's going to connect to that, and then your coil goes to the coil, obviously. So let's kind of get this mocked up here and get it all connected in kind of a good looking fashion for the moment. So yeah, let's do that. Okay, for just right now, I've got the one connector that I'm going to be using, or one bolt, I should say. It comes with these little rubber things right here to protect with vibrations and such. And I've got those in here, but I'm just gonna have one for right now until I can get a correct sized drill bit and make it where, you know, it looks nice and neat. However, we're just gonna get all of this in here where it looks roughly nice and neat. See if I can make anything look good. But at the very end, you're going to have your two main connectors that are right next to each other. They're going to go into your ECU. And there's only one way they go in. So you can't mix them up. It's quite literally impossible to mix them up. And so I'm going to move on down the line and have these. So obviously I'm going to have ignition that needs to go over the engine towards something that's got 12 volts. My black and red are going to go over towards the battery over here, and my orange one, haven't figured out where I'm going to put the fuel pump yet, but I need to run it elsewhere. And for right now, I'm going to run it along with the ignition key. And all of this is going to look a lot better after I have the radiator in and everything like that, but I just wanted to do this. That way I can show y'all what you need and what you don't. Oh, your CAN cable, that's going to be for your handheld. Your handheld will plug into the CAN, C-A-N. And that's how you can, you know, obviously read everything and change everything about it. And when we get to first startup, I'll show you all of that and how it all works. And since I'm only using green and yellow, as far as I know, then the rest of these I'm going to just try to fold up and tape up. That way they are out of the way as much as possible. It's not going to look the prettiest, but, you know, it is what it is. And I will figure out something with these at a later date. But for right now, it's going to get a zip tie so that they stay all together and they're kind of in the smallest space possible. Also, when you go to splicing wires together, connecting them, I recommend you soldering iron, so using solder, and then heat shrink on top of that, which is what I will be doing. If I can get to that point in any part of this video, I will. But mostly I just wanted to show y'all how this all works and how very easy it is, even though it might not look like it. So, zip tie, going around the ones that I do not need, as far as I know. We'll get to that point later. So, got all these zip tied. I'm going to try to get you guys where you can see down in here without my phone falling over. Well, anyway, so I've got that. I'm probably gonna have this running underneath the radiator, and so the fuses and such, along with all of this, I'm gonna have it, you know, much better than it is. I just basically want certain things. Probably gonna run these over the radiator when I have it in. Let's see here. So let's get this in here. And then the fuses and stuff and the relays, I'll probably also have up on the firewall, or if anything, I'll just have them out of the way. And then we need to get down to, there's the CAN right here. Where's the VR? So VR is what I need for distributor. So let's do that. This is very difficult. I wish I had a cameraman. but that's okay. We can manage. Okay, there we go. So VR is way over here, and I need it. Basically, all of this is probably going to have to go alongside the water pump and everything. CAN cable. Here is VR. So VR is going to get plugged into distributor. Yeah, and there is only one way it can go in. So get VR plugged in there. Coil, haven't found a place that I'm going to put that just yet, but I'll get there. So coil is going to go up on top of the engine. This goes to your throttle body itself. And I'll bring you over here before I plug that in. Probably run this up and over. FPS wideband needs to go down there. And coolant temp, probably run around and back and plug into coolant temp sensor there. But get you over here, and obviously everything's very labeled and very easy. To throttle, and only goes on one way. Clicks right in. This is your TPS, so you don't have to even do anything with that. And I realize it looks very terrible at the moment. I've still got plugs to put in the intake and a few other things, but this, I believe, is going to be my main issue. But also, I don't think it should be too bad because it's pretty long. And then on top of that, the sensor itself isn't terrible. And I'm going to be putting it on the, I'm going to do true duals instead of an H-pipe actually, just to make it easy. And this is just going to go on the right bank. So passenger side bank, I'm going to make a hole, and this is where it's going to go. And I'm probably going to make a hole in the header actually, instead of like farther down. That way it's reading very close to where all four of these cylinders are all together. That way it's reading this side, and I'm just going to hope that it's going to be the same because it is a dual plane intake. It's going to be squirting the same fuel on both sides essentially, so I don't really want to go farther and do an H-pipe and do all that stuff anyways. So with as long as this is going to be, I think I'll be fine. So I'm going to get this tidied up just a bit. And then so we've got all of this. The FPS I do not need because I don't have that sensor. I wish I would have got it, but I don't have it. WB is going to run down behind the engine, down towards the passenger side header. CAN cable, I'm going to wind up not actually using the handheld because I have an RPM gauge. I have all the gauges in the car, so I'm going to use those. So I am actually going to wind up using the brown wire, which is tack out, and I'm going to connect it to the tack that's in here. Because, you know, it's very old, and yes, it kind of matches the car, but I don't like that. But all the gauges work. The speedo works, oil pressure gauge works, fuel gauge even works, which is astounding to me. And the temp gauge actually still works. So I'm not even going to use the handheld to monitor anything. I'm just going to make sure that I'm probably going to use it for like the first week just to make sure that it's learning and it's staying at the AFRs that I want it to, and just basically just keeping an eye on it. And once I feel comfortable, then I'll be unhooking that and taking it out. But we're getting really close to first startup. I really need a better way to get all of these. Oh yeah, I can use self-tappers. Okay, so most likely I'm going to get some short self-tappers for the relays and the 2 fuses, and self-tap everything here. That way it's all kind of tucked up against over here. And then when it comes to 12 volt and ground, because the battery's over here, I'm going to probably undo them from the tape that's down here, and then run them over the top of the radiator over to it. But I'm gonna go get a drink and we'll come back. It's really not even that bad outside, but in this shop it's very hot and there's no wind as usual. But anyway, back to what I was saying. My 12 volt to the battery and ground to the battery, I'm gonna undo those from the tape that I had and run them over the radiator. That way I can run the fuel pump positive wire, which is the orange one, probably over the engine and down, and I will probably have to connect some extra wire, but that's fine. And then I need to figure out, which should be very simple because there's not that many wires on a 68 Mustang. One of the 2 wires that I see is going to be 12 volt ignition key, so that's going to be very simple. And then from that, it's very, very, very easy. Speaking of easy, let's get the coil, and I'll just go ahead and throw that on the engine at least. That way you can see everything connected. And I know this is, hey, wind. And I know this is not a fully done and installed Killshot, because you know there's a lot of wire management that needs to go into this, and you know, not just throw it in. My favorite part about everything, if you're a car guy, I'm sure you understand, is stickers. You always get stickers with ACs. But here is, come on, here is your blackjack ignition coil with the plug for coil, so I was correct. Speaking of, where is, there it is. No, it isn't. There you are. The gray one that says coil is going to connect down to your coil, and still don't know where I'm going to put that just yet, but you know, we'll figure it out. But that goes to your coil. It says coil, it's under here on that tape right there, but that goes to your coil, and then obviously this is going to go from here to the top of the distributor. Oh god. And it also does come with the wire separators, make it look prettier, but that's going to go to your middle one. And then from that point, it's really just tidying up everything and making it look good. Yeah, like I said, this stuff is super easy. I might go ahead and throw the radiator in here. I still have to measure for a belt for these, because I don't have power steering, so it's literally just crank, water pump, alternator, so it's going to be a really short belt. And that is so not what I want that to be, the bracketry anyways. I just had to make do with what I had. And so with that being said, this is essentially all you got to do. And also I'm going to show you what fuel pump I'm using and what I'm going to be doing there. So give me just a second, I'll go grab the fuel pump and I'll show you what my plan is. Alright, so this is the fuel pump that I'm going to be using. This is an inline fuel pump off of like an 82 F-150, I believe. If you go in your local auto part store, if they know their stuff, like ours do, and you tell them, you know, you want an inline pump, then they should be able to find you something like this. 3/8 in and out, 3/8 fuel hose. I'm basically going to be coming towards the back here because my fuel line runs down and then back into the tank. I'm going to be coming up under here. Oh God. Finding said fuel line, which is in the trans tunnel and the drive shaft tunnel, and connecting it somewhere. But I will have to cut out some fuel line to do so, which I hate doing because it's kind of sketch. I really don't want to, but I kind of have to. I'm probably the best option when you're cutting fuel line is to obviously don't use a grinder like I did on the Blazer. Get an actual line cutter tool, like a fuel line cutter tool. And one that, you know, just spins around and just cuts it. That's the easiest thing. There's no sparks. There's no chance of, you know, blowing anything up, which is what I will be doing because I'm not doing that again. Oh, and I forgot, the coil actually does come with hardware, screws and whatever, you know, whatever you decide you wanted to do, screws and little lock washers and lock nuts if that's what you need. But essentially that is, I mean, that's pretty much everything. I will get more in depth when I've got basically everything ready to go. I've still got to put passenger header on. I've still got to make the hole for the O2 sensor, and I'll video all that. And I've still got to do alternator wiring. It is a one-wire alternator, so it's very easy. But other than alternator and just finishing up like exhaust, I'm not even going to put full exhaust on until after I know this thing's going to fire and run, and then after that we'll fully do the exhaust. That's about it. And like I said earlier, your V main is going to go to your 12 volt positive if you're not using blackjack and you're using HEI, and then your tack in obviously goes to the tack out on your distributor if it's HEI. But if you're like me using blackjack, I believe if I wasn't using the fan wires, you can literally undo this entire thing. You can just unplug it. If I wasn't going to have the fans connected, I could literally undo that and I wouldn't need any of it. But because I want my fans integrated with everything, I need the yellow and green. And I don't know. I haven't decided if I want to cut these and have them short. That way I don't have this jumble of mess. But, you know, I'm not too insanely worried about it right now. But this stuff is really, really easy. Oh yeah, also, on your fuel pump, where did I put it? There we go. So on this one, there's positive and negative symbols right down there. There's a positive right here and a negative there. So the orange wire is going to go to this one. That orange is going to connect to this, and then ground, you can just ground it to the frame or wherever. You can literally just self-tab it to the frame. I didn't have a problem with that. Other than that, it's super easy. I have enjoyed every second of Aces, and yes, it's much harder if you're comparing it to a carburetor, because carburetor doesn't use wires, doesn't use anything. It's just doing fuel line to a carburetor. But this is going to run where you want it at all times. It's way more responsive, and in my opinion, it's much more reliable. And for fuel line, so you can use any of these 4 ports right here. You can take this out and put it over here. You can take this out, put it over here. You can have you can have an inlet here, outlet here. But what you don't want to do is have in out. You don't want to have fuel coming in here and out here, because then it's not going to get the pressure it should be getting back here. So you can either have in, out, or out in the back, or you can, do in, out, out. It doesn't matter. Just don't put in straight to an out, because these connect through here and then they go back. So you don't want to do that. Okay, so my phone just overheated because of how hot it is. So I think I'm gonna call it on that. Oh yeah, one more thing before I forget and before my phone overheats again. I recommend getting a good fuel pressure regulator and running it after Killshot. So what I mean by that is you want to have line going in, line going out, and then regulator, and have it set. It says 40 to 60, so I'm probably going to set this at about 55, because it's not like a big performance engine. It's not going to need all 60 psi. I might set it closer to 60, might set it like 58, but I think I'm going to go with 55 just to be on the safe side. So yes, I recommend getting a good fuel pressure regulator instead of the old one that I was using, which is, if you want to use that, you can. It does work. It is a vacuum pressure regulator. It is a PR134 is what the part number is, and they are slightly expensive. Honestly, that one is way less expensive. But use it after Killshot, so you're going to have your inlet, your outlet, and then your regulator. That way the entire Killshot is getting that pressure. And because you don't want to have your regulator beforehand, because anything after that regulator is not going to be that pressure. And like I said in a few videos before, the return line is what I'm going to have the problem with, because this tank does not have one. So I'm going to have to figure that out. Luckily, in a 68 Mustang, the trunk floor is your fuel tank. So I'm thinking I'm going to drain all the fuel out, drill a hole somewhere in the tank, put a bung in. That way I can just connect a return line. Like I said, I had gone through all the other wires if you're going to use them. The yellow and green is your fan 1, fan 2. And fuel system, when I go to actually connecting all of this properly and getting it where it's going to be, like where it looks good and where I want it to be, that will be in another video as well. But I hope this helps somebody. If it helps anybody at all, I'm very appreciative. If you haven't yet, please like, share, subscribe. I know my videos are sometimes few and far between, but it's just because when you're married and have kids, there's not a lot of time to work on your project car. I am just glad that I can have one. Oh, and here is the handheld itself and the connector that goes to your can. And I'll have that in here somewhere. I'll find a way to get it in here, but that'll be in a video as well. But this thing looks really good. I am very excited. I still have to figure out how to keep these where they're supposed to be, because none of the holes line up, which is sad, but it is what it is. I love how easy that closes. But from me, I'm Melman. That's Bonnie. Thank you for watching. And thanks for all the comments, the questions, everything. If you have more questions, please put them in the comments below, because I love helping out and I love the way this thing looks. Soon, it will run. But yeah, this is going to be a lot neater than it is. Obviously, I can't be doing this crap. But I wish I could get rid of that. Stalemate junction. I'm rambling. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.